The last time I weighed myself, I was actually shocked by the number. That experience of making my own clothes made me much more accepting of whatever it is that I am. The standard body doesn't exist in other people or in myself. The first thought that comes into our head oftentimes says something about what we were taught. Our response to that is our own inherent wisdom. Hello. Hi, everybody. So today I'm going to be talking about my weight gain journey. Hi, editor Heather popping in here. I have just one little request to make. If you've clicked on this video and you've made it this far and you decide that you would like to comment, if you could please be kind in your comments, because this is a very sensitive topic to a lot of different people and kindness is really important. I would really appreciate that. So thank you so much. Most of the time when people talk about weight gain, it's in a negative context, but today I'm going to be talking about it in a mostly positive or neutral context. For me, weight gain isn't necessarily negative because for many years I was unable to gain weight. I spent many years in my 20s on high calorie diets that didn't seem to have any effect. Looking back, I can understand why somebody who's genetically disposed to be thinner would be underweight in the conditions I was in, but at the time it didn't make any sense to me. It was baffling and scary. I didn't know I was hypermobile. I didn't really understand any of my health concerns. Every time I went to the doctor, they would tell me I look great and go home. They'd say I was healthy, even though I felt like I was falling apart physically. It was terrifying to go to nutritionist after nutritionist, doctor after doctor, to have nobody give me any advice that really helped. So I mentioned, looking back, I can now understand why I wasn't gaining weight. There were times in my life where I was literally not eating enough. I was stressed, so I wasn't eating enough. That makes sense to me why I wouldn't gain weight. But I'm talking about times that I was on an incredibly high calorie diet, 4,000 calories, I think it was. I still wasn't gaining any weight. During part of this time, I was breastfeeding, and I was breastfeeding a very allergic baby, and I had a lot of allergies, so my food was somewhat limited. I was also taking care of 2 little boys. I was working part-time and a relatively active job. I think around my late 20s, I may have developed gastroparesis as well. I'm not sure when the SIBO or the SIFO candida yeast allergy showed up. If those things were there, they were probably not helping me to digest most of my food. I was also put on thyroid medication that I probably didn't need, and that may have pushed my weight down. I eventually ended up with adrenal fatigue, but by then I was at a more normal weight. Let me see if I can clarify the timeline a little bit. Normal weight to me was about 10 to 15 pounds heavier than when I was at what I considered way too thin. And then since moving, the weight gain has been a 25 to 30 pounds, but most of that has been in the last year since starting the MCAS medication. So like I'd say maybe 20 of it, even 15 to 20 of it has been in 1 year. So it was like a gradual weight gain and then boom. So I'm at the heaviest weight that I've ever been at. I've debated sharing the number, but I think it's best not to because people will attach a lot of meaning to a number that's relatively meaningless. I honestly don't care about the number so much as like it's information, but it's not necessarily positive or negative. I'm not withholding it because I'm uncomfortable with it, but because other people contribute so much to these numbers. The number I weigh right now, and I'm basically a little bit chubby, or at least I'm bigger than I used to be, is somebody else's too thin and somebody else's too chubby. Height and muscle mass and build all affect how we carry weight, but I will share this. The last time I weighed myself, I was actually shocked by the number, and I think it's probably gone up since then. I'm about 45 to 50 pounds heavier than I was at my lowest weight in adulthood. Take that as you will. So the reasons that I've gained weight. I was on a medication in the last month that made me so tired. And also I've been getting prolotherapy mostly on my shoulder, and it's limited and reduced certain activities that I feel safe for me to do. And so for the last month, I've been a lot more active than I have been in many years. I've talked very neutrally about my weight up until this point, but I have to be honest that it has been confusing. A few years ago, when I realized that I was gaining weight effortlessly without the 4,000 calorie diet, I was concerned that something was actually medically wrong with me because for some time I had been at a certain weight and I thought I was perfectly healthy, and now I was moving past that weight without really changing much other than moving to a different city. So maybe some of my behaviors changed. I guess that's changing a lot, but I also changed my job. But I don't feel like my eating patterns drastically changed other than maybe eating more at dinner because I was no longer working the evening job, but then I was also eating early in the evening. I don't know. I've continued to gain weight since that time. I would say it's accelerated since starting a medication for MCAS. I have absolutely no desire to stop taking this medication. It's helped me. So I'm happy to have the side effects rather than have more MCAS symptoms. I spoke with my doctor about the weight gain about 6 months ago, and she said that it was most likely due to me being able to digest and absorb my food better. And by the way, this is a good doctor, one that doesn't just blow me off. You're probably gaining weight because you're finally digesting your food. That's a great reason. That's one of the reasons it's like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Pack it on if it means I'm actually digesting. So back to how my weight confuses me. When I'm putting on clothes, I'm putting them on a body that I don't recognize. Dressing myself is confusing because it's almost like I'm dressing an entirely different person. I'm not really sure what works for me. But I'm trying to have fun with it and play with different styles, different silhouettes, and just enjoy, that I get to play with like an entirely new physique. I also am realizing that I had a lot of attachment to the ideas of being a skinny person. Like, I don't actually value skinniness, but I used to think everything else is wrong with me, but at least I don't have to deal with the negativity given to not being thin. I could wear most things, and most of the time they look good in a socially acceptable kind of way. I'm so grateful that the body positive movement has happened. My brain is stuck in the era where Kate Moss and heroin chic were the standard. So when I'm trying on clothes, I have had to come to terms with having an entirely different body. Because most of the weight has happened from the ribs down, I'm pretty out of proportion, and that makes finding clothes really difficult. They were always difficult because I've always been bigger on bottom than top, but it's gotten more challenging. I used to make my own clothes, but I have absolutely no desire to do that anymore. However, when I was making my own clothes, things fit so much better. I miss having pants that don't have the waist cap that I was able to create. Making my own clothes really helped me understand that all bodies are different, and I also made sandals, and that made me understand all feet are different. You can change the measurements. Everything can be customized, but when you buy something from a store, nothing's customized. So that experience of making my own clothes made me much more accepting of whatever it is that I am. It's good to know that no body that I'm looking at is a standard body. The standard body doesn't exist in other people or in myself. Before I ever gained much weight, I had been in the habit of telling myself positive things. In the past, the most common thoughts I needed to redirect were negative thoughts about aging. I would say things to myself like, we need to redefine what beautiful is because there is no reason that I shouldn't be considered beautiful. Why am I not the standard? Why is anybody else the standard? Or I would say, I'm allowed to age. For a long time, I was just grateful that I was digesting my food better. Telling myself positive things about my health was enough to counter any minor fears or negative thoughts about weight gain. Now that I'm bigger, I have negative thoughts about my weight gain and my shape more frequently, but I make sure that I always counter those negative thoughts with a positive message to myself. Things like, I'm allowed to take up space, or this long list of other things that I tell myself. What I've learned about these negative thoughts is that no matter what I inherently believe about myself, culture has definitely trained me otherwise. I am not responsible for the first thought that comes into my head, but I am responsible for my response to that thought. The first thought that comes into our head oftentimes says something about what we were taught. Our response to that is our own inherent wisdom. I'm much bigger than I used to be, but I still don't think I'm a large person. Most of my weight gain has been on the bottom half, and in that area, I am now in the plus sizes. I find it odd that I'm considered a plus size. I find it very odd and counterintuitive how our culture does sizes, but that's a video for another time. I feel very normal. I feel like I was way too thin before, and now I'm more of a typical standard size. I'm more of the size that most people are, at least on bottom. And so I don't really understand the whole concept of plus size. I'm fine with being a plus size. What if the pants fit? If the pants will go on and be comfortable, like, I do not care. Call it anything you want. So as to what am I going to do about this weight gain? Probably nothing. I would very much like to be able to fit more comfortably into clothes. For years and years, I've only been able to wear stretchy pants because of the digestive issues that I often experience. My frequent bloating, stomach pain. They make anything touching my stomach feel quite uncomfortable or painful. This has gotten worse while gaining weight because I'll grow out of clothes, don't realize I've grown out of the clothes, end up wearing things that are a bit too snug until I'm able to realize that it's not the bloating that's making the pants tight, but the actual increase in my personal volume. The most irritating thing right now about gaining weight is that I love clothes, but continually having to buy bigger and bigger pants and sometimes bigger shirts has literally become a pain in the ass. I don't know if having the idea that I should control it is a healthy mindset. Gaining weight has not made me feel physically worse. I actually feel a lot better. I get far less hypoglycemic than I used to. I'm concerned that gaining too much weight will have a negative effect on my joints, but so far my joints feel so much better than they used to. I'm going to assume this has more to do with Nuka than anything else. Nuka has helped reduce my overall inflammation that I experience. People tell me I look great far less often, but I physically feel so much better. Part of me still wants to be like Kate Moss, but I know that I'm so much better off as I am. Gaining weight fills out my face, fills out the wrinkles, so there's definitely some pros to being a heavier weight. I have a great desire to be more fit. I want to be stronger. I want to physically be able to do more things, and so I intend to be working out more now that I'm off the medication that was making me feel so tired. I may have to get on another one that'll do similar things, but I have several prolotherapy appointments set up in the next couple of months, so that may impede some of my exercise plans, but I definitely want to try to increase the amount of movement that I was getting. This may lead to a decrease in inches, but I doubt that it will actually lead to pounds evaporating off my body because muscle weighs more than fat, and I'm hoping to gain muscle. Making art at a table, editing on the computer are both sedentary activities that I spend a lot of time doing, but I've learned that I definitely need to put my health first and move as much as possible. Actually, I've known for years that movement was super important, but I put my health on the back burner when I was focusing on growing my YouTube channel and trying to put out as many videos as possible. I've decided to stop putting my work first and put my body first. I hope that hearing me talk about my perspective on my weight in a way that's neutral or even maybe positive has been helpful to you. Thanks for listening to me talk about this topic I find confusing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.